we're we're live. Awesome. But yeah, Ben, I really think that podcasts are not only the way of the future, but they're just becoming so accessible to everybody and practical. And I mean, you can do it when you work out, you can do it when you walk the dog, you can do it when you sit on the toilet, you can do it when you watch another, like you can do it while you watch TikTok or something.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before, but I mean, it's accessible. It's the thing that you can do anywhere, and
Yeah.
with COVID and with the global pandemic, people not being able to be face to face with each other. So another way to get around that is you talk to somebody on a Zoom like you and I are doing, and it's nice. We're not having to wear masks when we're talking to each
Yeah.
other. But yeah, it's really impressive to see the podcast boom during this pandemic.
Yeah, man. And those of you who are joining us, welcome to Lending a Hand. I got a junior from the University of Arkansas who actually runs a podcast himself based solely on the Razorbacks. And I'm really excited to have Ben Larson on the show today. Thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it. It's actually the first time we've talked, not in person, but via face to face. So
Yeah,
come
no,
on.
thanks for having me on. I'm definitely gonna have to check out some of your previous podcasts with the TED Talks and with
I
the
tell you, they
with the
start shitty. Like you go back to episode 1, it's like 30 seconds. I think I'm rapping. It's not good. It's not like I'm not a rapper or anything, y'all. But I'm just like rhyming about time and stupid shit. Like you get a lot better as you do them with communicating with people.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel like you feel the need to rap, go right ahead. I'm not gonna slow you down. I'm not gonna be the one dropping bars, but if
Ben's a
you have
fraternity
that,
brother, everybody. He's into rapping. Just kidding, man. That's
yeah,
funny though.
yeah.
But it is interesting. I think why the reason that podcasts are so valuable, obviously, because you can do them all at once and other things while you're doing it, even at work. But I think because voice, and we're starting to learn. Like I just got Alexa in my house, man, and I love it. She's out of this world, and voice is a great way to communicate, and it's the fastest way to communicate too.
Mhm. Yeah, and I feel like my generation, I would much rather listen to a 5-minute podcast or watch a 5-minute video compared to read a 5-minute article.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I I think
definitely.
like talking back and forth with each other, you can hear the tones and the pitch of somebody's voice, and you get so much more out of actual speech and hearing somebody compared to reading a bunch of words on a page. And I'm I think I don't know about your generation necessarily. I know we're pretty close in age, but it's tough. I mean, there's no more newspapers. Twitter's the new newspaper, and podcasts and all that stuff is kind of how everybody gets their information now. But yeah, I think there's a lot of different advantages to being able to listen to a podcast and watch a video compared to just read an article.
Yeah, you can do more at once.
Mhm.
We're a society of multitasking, and almost to a detriment.
Mhm.
But we just love to multitask. It's
Mhm. Yeah.
the worst one is texting and driving, but we won't get into that. Don't text and drive, everybody.
Yeah, texting and driving, drinking and driving, stay away from all those.
Yeah. So, man, at up there at the U of A, obviously, I'm very familiar there. Going 2 terms, as I told you. You're a junior, right?
Yep, I'm a junior.
What's been your favorite thing about it? What's been what do you enjoy? What made you start the podcast, man? Just give it all
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah, so I'll kind of give you the background of my Instagram. In
Yeah, because you've got
2000.
25,000 followers. This is not just.
Mhm.
I mean, it's legit.
Yeah, and I haven't bought any followers, and I've done it all naturally. So
Right on, brother.
but yeah, so it was 2014. Well, I guess I'll go from the very beginning. But I was born in Fayetteville, born and raised, and then I was raised up in Bentonville, up in Walmart land, as most people know it. And yeah, my dad just started taking me to a bunch of hog games. So I mean, it was baseball, it was football, it was basketball, and my family, it was able to expose me to a bunch of different things, and sports was kind of the one thing that I attracted to the most. And
I can
I was
relate, man.
yeah, and so I was 14 years old, and it was after Bielma's first year at Arkansas. And I remember it was just one summer day, and I guess I was upset about I didn't like the media, the local media, the state media.
Oh yeah.
Um, I just always felt like they were a little too
So
harsh on the players.
2014.
Yep,
I was up
2014.
there then. Okay, interesting. So
Yeah,
that's when it sparked.
yeah. So
Shit.
yeah, it was before the 2014 football season, and I just felt like the local media was a little too harsh on the Hogs, whether it was the players or the coaches. And I'm 14 years old. I don't know how a student athlete should be portrayed on social media, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put an end to this. I'm gonna fix this problem of people just hating on my favorite sports team. And so there was another Instagram account called Gamecockology, and he was a big South Carolina fan, went to school there, all that stuff. And I loved that, the ology name,
Yeah.
that it's like the study of. And so you throw the Razorback in front of it and it's the study of the Razorbacks. And I thought that was a really cool name and some people could attract and relate to. And so I guess 7 years later, it's grown. And like you mentioned, I started a podcast February last year, and Patrick Wicklander was my first host, and still good friends with him to this day. But
Cool.
yeah, I try to be professional and relatable and realistic, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of Hog fans that are super optimistic, and there's going to be some that are super pessimistic. They're all over the board. So I try to be kind of that calming voice, and I think I'm always a little bit of a glass half full type, but I'm not going to be a sunshine pumper.
Hmm.
But yeah,
That
it's been super fun, and I've been able to meet a bunch of different people, and I try to respond to all the DMs. And but yeah, it's
mhm.
been a one-man show for 6.5 years, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Respect it, man. Hey, if you grow big enough, you'll have to start hiring on people, but those are good problems to have as you were a business major. Man, the
Mhm.
Razorback fan base is an interesting one to say the least. They're all over the place. If you had a grid, they're just everywhere. Looks like stars
Mhm.
because I, I don't know. I've got a lot of different theories about Arkansas. We just live in a very interesting state. I love Arkansas. Started the podcast here and everything, but yeah, we got to have more hope, man. I feel like
Mhm.
it rubs off sometimes on the players because we've had just crazy instances happen. Like not just this year. Look at the Auburn game. Like
Mhm.
what the heck?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And
anyways,
there's there's so many what ifs with Razorback athletics. And I just turned 21 years old, but I mean, you have the College World Series in 2018, game
ugh,
2, the drop fly ball. I know many people are probably cringing right now, but I mean, you have that one, you have the Auburn one, like you mentioned, the Arkansas Florida SEC title game, the drop punt. I
I
mean,
think it's a lot of pressure.
yeah.
I think that because we're not in that position all the time like Alabama is, when we get in that position, our state is just because we don't have a pro team, we're just all in on the Razorbacks. Like we are all in, and I've been there. I've cried after games. I'm a Razorback fan to the core, man. Like I've definitely cried after games in my 20s, like
Mhm.
not just when I was a little kid or
Yeah.
something, but it's
Yeah,
an interesting
it's
state that we live in. It's a
mhm,
great
and
state.
oh yeah, yeah. It's I've yet to find a more passionate fan base. I mean, you go to any neutral site, you go to a bowl game, and I went to
Yeah.
the Liberty Bowl, and I think it was 2015 or
Mhm.
2016 with my dad, and it was us against K State, and I mean it's 65-70% Hog fans and 30% Wildcat fans. And you go to Omaha, it's like Bomb Stadium North, and
Yeah,
I mean
for
it's
sure.
it's it's so unique because every corner of the state that you'll find a Hog fan. I mean, you said like stars in the sky, it's I mean, Alabama, they have the Tigers and the Crimson Tide, and I mean,
But their state is also way bigger than ours too. Like
mhm,
there's much population wise.
yeah, and we're a smaller state, but I mean, hell, we're a mighty state.
Yeah.
There's there's a bunch of people they bleed Razorback red, and that's kind of just how it is. And it's it's incredible. The fan base is awesome. I mean, maybe we get a little too attached sometimes, and maybe we do get a little upset and break things and cry every once in a while. But it's in terms of passion, I don't think there's. I think we're top two and not two.
It would be interesting if you took a percentage poll of how many people are Razorback fans in Arkansas compared to how many people are like Alabama Crimson Tide fans or South
Mhm.
Carolina or Florida, because those states are halved in a lot of Alabama, Auburn. Florida has 5 different schools you could root for, you know.
Mhm.
It'd
Yeah.
be interesting. I bet we're up there though, like you said, top
Hmm.
2, if and not
Yeah.
number 2.
Yeah. And it's pretty cool. I mean, as much as we like pro sports, it's kind of cool to. I mean, it's a huge recruiting pitch too for coaches to
Yeah,
tell high school guys like this entire state has your back. Like you are the pro team. You know, these fans they'll do anything for you, and it's really unique. 'Cause there's not a lot of places that can say the same thing.
for sure. And Arkansas is one of those odd places that we, you know, with the crazy times that we're in the world, people talking Civil War and everything. Arkansas is one of those places that you could literally cut off from the rest of society, and we are self-sustaining.
Hmm. No,
I don't,
absolutely.
I don't know. I am such a big Arkansas fan, and I've grown up here all my life, but we need more. We need more of a few things. But I feel like once people come here, they realize, oh, this state's beautiful. Like there's a lot going
Mhm.
on here. And one of my like key reasons of starting this show was to kind of bring an awareness for technology and even opportunity, because I've had people on that'll talk about how you make money online, where Arkansas, you don't do that a lot because we're a blue collar state, no doubt about it. I mean, there's several industries that kind of run the state:
Yeah, it's
tourism and
mhm.
insurance,
Yeah.
lawyers, doctors, nurses. I
Mhm.
mean, we need more technology, in my opinion, coming to this state to
Yeah.
grow. And you see
Mhm.
that in Northwest Arkansas, man. I'm a little jaded because I'm down here in Hot Springs and I haven't been up to Northwest Arkansas in a few months. But it's kind of like Austin, Texas, a lot.
Mhm. Yeah. Arkansas is really a hidden gem, and specifically Northwest Arkansas and even Hot Springs is a beautiful place. I've been down there a few
Definitely.
times, but I mean, yeah, I drive up to home to Bentonville once a month or so, and I can't go driving up without seeing something being built. I mean,
Mhm.
there's brand new restaurants popping up. There's new buildings. I mean, everything is growing, and it's just like a sign of life and a sign of optimism. And
Mhm.
it's funny, like the U of A has probably more kids from the state of Texas than from the state of Arkansas.
Absolutely.
Um,
I believe that
which
is
is
true.
yeah,
I don't
which
have like
is
a Jamie guy like Joe Rogan does to look it up, but I believe
yeah,
that's true.
yeah, and so a lot of kids, Arkansas is not their first choice, and I don't blame them. A lot of people probably didn't really know where Arkansas was on the map before they came here, but it's one of those places. Once you get here and once you visit, it's awesome, and
It
I
is.
feel like that's a word that kind of gets thrown out a lot, but there's a lot of people I know that they as soon as they step foot on campus and they could see how beautiful it was, and it's not called the natural state for nothing, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that want to stay here, and Austin, Texas is a great comparison. I mean,
We
it's kind of
and
got that.
Yeah, and UT, the University of Texas, and U of A have similar sayings. I think what is it? Keep Fayetteville funky, and
Hmm.
it's keep Austin weird.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
we got that from UT because so many of those kids kind of just conjugated up here. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting as we move forward because you see a lot of people like the pandemic and everything changing. I'll be interesting to get your ideas on this, but you see so many people like from California moving out of California, moving away, like a
Hmm.
ton of people. I don't know if you've seen this in the news, but people are just kind of moving away from the big cities because they're still closed, and they're realizing you can work from home. You can have a conversation with somebody 300 miles away, 180 miles away, right here.
Yeah.
It's very fascinating. So I'm obsessed with technology. I'm the guy that will get the fucking chip in his arm. Like I'll do it. I don't care because I like this is basically a chip. You know, we got the iPhone.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
basically a chip.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm excited to see in 20, 30 years, like what kind of technology we're going to have then. I mean, I remember there's
yeah,
articles from like the 80s or 90s or super early 2000s that said by the time 2020 comes around, we'll have flying cars. Like, well, no, that didn't exactly happen
well,
quite yet, but
we do though. We just Elon Musk said this best. We don't have flying cars. they're not popular like vehicles because they're not practical. They're too
Yeah.
loud. You could never come home and be like a helicopter landing next to your house. So
Yeah.
you couldn't really use it. So those may never get like super popular, but we've seen them on TV. Like we have them.
Hmm.
Some crazy guy invented it in his fucking garage.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just excited to see in 25 years what's going to be the new norm.
Dude, I know. And
It's
that's going
kind
to
of like
affect sports as well.
oh
Let's not
yeah.
get that wrong. That's look at
Uh-huh.
instant replay, what that's done. But
Hmm.
I'm worried
Yeah.
for football, man. Like, cause I'm a huge basketball fan. Like basketball's first. It's like 1A, 1B.
Hmm.
And basketball's killing it. But football, they're just one more Aaron Hernandez away, like from some shit happening. They're already trying
Yeah.
to eliminate kickoffs.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I could see in the future there. I think the NFL and college football is still going to be here as we know it, but
Yeah.
don't be surprised if there's a separate league that's just a separate 7-on-7 league, without helmets. I don't know if it'd be flag football or touch or how they do it, but I mean,
Maybe
you see
that's
the
what the Rock's gonna do
trajectory.
with XFL.
Yeah, I mean,
Who
you see the
knows?
trajectory that football's going towards, and I
Yeah.
remember in a freshman year in high school, I wrote an article about concussions and how dangerous they are, and a couple things that they could change and fix to make it safer. But it's it also gets to a point like what's the line that you stop at that
Yeah.
like I mean, obviously you could make the game as safe as you want. You could just sit around and play rock paper scissors with each other and not touch anybody and you'd be okay. But I mean, some of the players, I think it's kind of like a waiver almost. I mean, you're signing a waiver.
Yeah.
You understand what's going to happen. I mean,
It's
this
give and take.
concussions, yeah,
That's why people don't feel sorry for
CTEs.
NFL players. They're like, oh, they made $1
Mhm,
million or in this case, $500 million, Patrick Mahomes, and he gets a concussion last week. I mean, what the hell? Like,
yeah,
I don't feel that bad for him, I'd
yeah,
do that. I'd let Mike Tyson punch me right in the face for $500 million,
hmm,
or probably five
yeah,
million,
yeah,
realistically.
yeah, yeah. But
But
yeah,
money
it's
runs a lot
interesting to
of
see.
things, especially sports.
Hmm.
People
Yeah,
forget it's a business.
hmm, yeah. And I mean, technologies. I mean, baseball. There could be a automated strike zone here in a few years. There's
That needs
umpires
to
may not
happen.
be a thing. It could just be a maybe automated strike zone, and then maybe you'll still have an umpire at first and third, and one in the outfield. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's stuff like 10 years ago you would not have imagined would be here.
In just 10 years.
Yeah.
And I know we just turned 2021 and everything, but stuff changes fast and technology changes even faster. I
Hmm.
mean, it's only getting quicker. People are just companies are competing with one another to try to get that product out as fast as they can. And
Hmm.
man, it's an interesting world we live in. I think that's why you gotta definitely keep your stay in your lane. You know what I mean? Don't get in too many lanes. That's what I like what you're doing with Razorbackology, man. Like that's cool. I didn't know you've been working on it for 7 years, basically.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been a blast the entire way. I mean, I've been able to do giveaways, and
Mm,
I've kind of picked up disc golf over the last couple years, and I have a couple friends that work at Dynamic Disc in Springdale, and I approached them and I said, "Hey, I run this Instagram with at the time it was like 20,000 followers, and I love playing disc golf, and I love what I do with this Instagram page. I want to mesh them somehow." And they said, "All right, cool. What do you want to do?" And I said, I want to sponsor a tournament." And so we ended up sponsoring a tournament last September and had 108 people sign up. Everybody got a free Razorbackology putter, and
a
just
putter?
being
Cool.
a putter. And
Nice.
so just being able to use my platform, and there's stuff I want to keep doing. And I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Barstool, and the Barstool Fund is incredible. It is what
See that
Dave.
guy in Little Rock, Arkansas that won?
Yes, yeah, that's
Shins, I
yes,
believe, cleaners.
yeah, yeah. And the
Cool stuff.
FaceTimes that they have, it's a
Yeah.
really cool deal, and that's something like I'm a millionth of what Barstool is, but I mean, I feel like that's something that I have a platform, and if everybody donates $1, like that could help some of these businesses
Dude.
stay afloat. And like those are things that like I think about to try to help people and businesses. And I I'm not
It's a great
exactly
way to
in
give
the
back to the community, man.
yeah, yeah. And I
Definitely.
mean, Dixon Street, if you're a college kid, Dixon Street is your go-to right now, and I mean, we gotta keep Dixon Street afloat somehow.
I know, man. I miss Dixon so much.
Yeah,
So
they're
much.
sitting at about 50% capacity right now.
Yeah.
You got to be wearing a mask if you're not drinking anything, so that probably just encourages the alcohol to be consumed. But
Yeah, I
you
went
know,
back in July for my birthday and hung out, and it was just weird. It wasn't the same.
um,
Just and obviously it was summer too. So, are you doing
mhm.
just online class or are you going to school?
Last semester everything was online. This semester I'm taking 15 credits, and
Yeah,
two of my five classes I go to once a week. So I think it's Wednesdays and Thursdays I'm in class. So after we're done talking on this podcast, I have a class at 3 that I'm running to.
right on.
But it's I'm there's perks to both. I used to tell people in freshman year I lived in a dorm called Yoakum, and it was right across the street from the business building, and I'm a business major, so I could roll out of bed, walk across the street, and I'd be in class. But now, like, you can probably see it in the background. My bed is right there. This is where I do class. Like, I can literally roll out of bed, and like it's just taken a whole new
Oh man,
meaning,
dude,
and
that shows my age over here. I'm 30, and I was in Maple Hill though, so I had to walk all the way over to business building.
yeah, yeah.
Damn, cold days in Fayetteville
Mhm.
too. Woo.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I find myself having so much more free time than usual. I'm not
Mhm.
having to I don't have to drive to class. I don't have to make a super long walk to class like you had to do with Maple. And I've been probably using a lot of that free time on the Instagram page and just writing articles and
That's
doing
efficient though.
podcasts, and yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I was just having this conversation with a friend who actually has a question for you. I'll ask you in a second.
Sweet.
But time is just like I'll have my parents ask me like, "Did you work 8 hours today?" I'm like, "No, I worked like 5." They're like, "How? What?" And like, you can just it's mind-boggling to a lot of older people, but it's more efficient if you think about actual time and not wasting it. Like, it's just
Mhm.
so that's the great thing in my opinion. And I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but like 2020 was crazy, so it turned me a little crazy too. But like, I'm glad it happened because now we're becoming more efficient with time. It sucks that we can't be in person, but I bet you that's going to change in 10 years too.
Mhm.
Put those
Yeah.
goggles on. We're going to be in VR. I'm right in front of. We could probably shoot
Mhm.
basketball or something. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll
Be
have little
wild.
sunglasses with the chip in them, and like we
That
blink
came out
blink
already,
twice, and
basically.
yeah,
Oh, that didn't.
Google Lens or Google something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Glass, I think that came out
Glass. Yeah.
years ago, but it
Yeah.
was basically just a weird stuff, man. Happen. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm an early adopter
Yeah.
with that stuff. I like to talk about it because I think technology is one thing that is just taken over all of our lives.
Hmm. Yeah.
You can look at it
So
bad or good, but
yeah. So let me ask you, what's the thing in 10 years that we're not talking about right now, but in 10 years it's going to be the new norm technology wise?
oh man, probably AI for sure. Like I
Yeah.
work with an AI company. We were talking about our jobs kind of before we got on here, but I think once we master it and we figure it out, whether that's Jeff Bezos or Elon, that's going to take over because it's going to do everything for you. Like in a way, you're just going to say, "Hey, do this," and it's going to. I mean, almost no need for some like classes. Like you're not going to need to speak foreign languages anymore because it's going to tell you to it. Like I see you with the earpods in, and I
Mhm.
normally wear mine as well. But there's an app you can literally just go into China and it'll translate it for you what they're saying. I mean, it's nuts.
It's
So
it's
probably
some
AI. What do you think?
yeah, man.
I mean, VR, virtual reality,
Yeah. Yeah, I think
voice.
VR.
Voice is a
Yeah.
big one too. Alexa's just crazy. I mean,
Mhm.
once she can is in like your shower head, and you're gonna be like, play, 21 Pilots or something. She's gonna be like, what?
Mhm. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
coming very soon, right?
mhm. Yeah, being able to start your car with an app on your phone, and yeah,
Yep.
it's like it's sometimes it's just tough to wrap your head around everything that's going on right now, and just trying to consume and think about what it's going to be like in 5, 10 years, like what the new norm is going to be. I mean, I like to
We're in 4 years,
think,
right?
yeah.
And I'm not going to post this today, but I will let everybody know I'm doing a cleanse for the entire month of January on social media. So I haven't posted anything. But I'm going to, so I'll probably post this in February, but this is Inauguration Day, January
Mhm.
20th, everybody. And even 4 years from now, man, like I was just having this conversation all morning. It's like things will be different, good or bad. Whether you're red or blue, that's not what I'm talking about. It's just
Mhm.
things will be really different. Joe Biden may
Mhm.
be a fucking creep at the end of 4 years, or something more. We could have a different president, maybe
Mhm.
Kamala or
Yeah. Yeah.
Kamala.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how long we're gonna be voting on paper ballots. I think that's one thing that, especially with all the recounts and stuff, I feel like it's only a matter of time before it starts going electronic. And I use group me polls a lot for stuff with the fraternity and things of that nature. But so I'm sure they can't fit all of America's population into one big group me poll. But I feel like there's got to be some way that they'll figure out. You log on to presidentialelection.com and click red or blue, and that'll be your vote. I
Jeez.
love going up to vote. And there's a lot of things that I love. I like doing old fashioned, like going to the horse races down in Oaklawn. And I love going
Yeah.
up and giving them the money and telling them I
Yeah.
want I
What you
want
want?
$10 for place, for number 3 to place or whatever. And I'm trying to hold on to as many of those old fashioned, actions
Nostalgia,
as I
man.
can. Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with a gentleman by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. He's like a
Mm-mm.
YouTube guy, and he's a marketing dude, but he's a brilliant man, multimillionaire, and he talks about with this age of like information and technology, nostalgia is one thing that we're all trying to hold on to, and we will pay extra money just to have that nostalgia. Because I
Yep.
think you're so right with these online votes or as the baby boomers, this is just natural. I'm not trying to be morbid, but as they die out and we get older and younger kids who have tablets in their hands since they were one, they're just like, yeah, I'll vote online. That's easier. It just makes more sense. And it's like a natural progression, you know?
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
almost feels like technology is part of the human, like it it's progressing with us.
Mhm.
We're kind of
And so
merging together.
sometimes it's almost ahead of us. I mean,
Yeah. That's what's scary with AI is it will be
yeah,
ahead of us.
yeah, with all the
It'll be able to do your homework. Like
yeah.
I work for a company right now, and we've actually worked with lawyers, and what their paralegals will do is scan a document, and that our bot will go and scan that document and put everything where it needs to be in each folder, wherever. I'm not a paralegal, I don't know how to do that, but it will basically put it all. And it's wild. We couldn't figure it out completely yet. We weren't able to fully, we didn't sign that client, but the fact that we were already doing that, that's basically like doing your homework for you. Like if everybody has
Mhm.
one of those like this, it's an app on your phone. You're like, do my math homework. Fuck.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
it's scary to
teachers are gonna
think
have to
about.
adapt. Teachers are
Yeah.
already adapting too. So that's why 2020 is so weird, man. But
Mhm.
I
Tip of
could
the
talk about
cap
this
to
all day.
the Tip of the cap to the teachers though in 2020 and going forward. There's a lot of groups of people that, I don't want to feel sorry for, but that they've had to go through a lot. The people who just graduated, whether that's high school or elementary school or college, all those people that had to do the virtual graduations. And teachers, I mean, especially all the teachers and professors. But I mean, I'm just seeing videos of these teachers trying to teach these young kids how
Mm,
to how to do things through Zoom, and having to mute their mics. And I mean, in my case, there's a lot of older professors who this isn't what they envisioned. They didn't want to have to set up a Zoom meeting to teach us
yeah,
about supply chain, and
yeah,
it's got to be discouraging in a few ways. But I mean, the healthcare workers, obviously they're doing a great job. But I think teachers and professors and all the educational folks around the country, they deserve a round of applause too.
yeah. Absolutely. We've all kind of lost a year in a lot of ways. You talk about teachers not being able to teach that kid who's 5 years old. That kid, in a little bit of a way, has lost his year and his not entire year of learning, but some of it. And I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how that will impact us in the future.
Yeah.
And
And I
the
know,
transition.
if I right now, if I had the choice to, if I'm able to go in person to a class or stay on Zoom, 10 out of 10 times I'm going to say, let me go in class. Let me take the physical notes. Let me bring my pen and paper, and let me look at the professor in the eyes and engage.
Tone.
Um, yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like I didn't learn as much as I should have last semester. I mean, just watching online PowerPoint lectures and having the audio just over the top of them, not being able to see the eyes and see the facial expressions of
Yeah.
people, not being able to walk up after class and have them clarify something. Like there's so many things like that that you just miss. And it was super. I'm not a huge,
Weird.
I mean, school person. I've done well, but I actually like, I kind of enjoy going back into class now, just from how much I missed it from last semester.
Man, I know. It'll make you grateful for it. That's for sure.
Uh-huh.
It's
So,
wild world we live in, man.
mhm.
I could talk about this all day. I know you got to go to class soon, but I do want to know who you think. I see you wearing Rogers headband, and I know. Did you hold on? First thing first. Did you predict Arkansas was going to lose tonight? Is that what I saw on Instagram?
I
Think Auburn's going
did.
to beat us? Oh man,
Yeah, I
we're
did.
on a tough streak, man. We got to break it somehow.
Mhm. Yeah,
You
there's
hope
a
you're
lot.
wrong.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'll if it takes me predicting the Hogs to lose just for them to win, I'll do
Every
that
week.
every week, But
Yeah.
yeah, I think Auburn Auburn's they've been getting better, and I think it kind of starts with Sharif Cooper with them, and he's a 5-star freshman.
Yeah. Probably
His
lottery
dad,
pick.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, and he hadn't been declared eligible by the NCAA all year, and then 3 or 4 games ago they let him become eligible, and he's just tearing it up, man. I mean,
Yeah.
in transition, he's a incredible facilitator. Coach Musselman called him the best young passer that he's seen in a really long time, and that's a guy
Really.
that watches basketball in his sleep.
So watch
Um,
out for him tonight. Okay.
yeah, and
Damn.
I know we
I
got the
didn't know
better of
much about
him.
Auburn, to be honest with you, since that was 3 or 4 games ago they just started. I didn't know much about. I
Yeah.
knew that they had a freshman. I thought he was hurt or something.
Yeah,
Man,
it was some NCAA agent issues. It's like I think his dad is a college basketball agent, and the NCAA was just kind of double checking to make sure there wasn't any fishy stuff going around. But yeah, a lot of people, they're like, you predicted the Hogs to lose. You're not a Hog fan. And it's like, no,
no, no.
I am a Hog fan. I wouldn't be running this thing for 6.5 years if I wasn't.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just the way we're trending, and the
Might take
way
a few more games
Auburn's,
to get back.
yeah, and
Auburn's looking good.
especially,
Yeah,
yeah, and without having 20,000 fans to provide that energy boost,
yeah,
and to provide that spark, I think it'll be competitive, and it was kind of discouraging. They haven't really been competitive the last 2 games, and that's something that we're not accustomed to seeing under a must-led team. But yeah, it's starting to get to the time of the year where like we got to start winning games if we want to play in the tournament. And it is a
yeah.
really young team and a lot of new faces with all the grad transfers, and not being able to do all the team bonding activities that I'm sure they usually do is probably played a factor. But yeah, and they've
It'll
played
be
2 really
interesting
great
to
teams.
see
But
when tournament time rolls around in March how everybody's looking, because Gonzaga just looks unstoppable. First off,
mhm,
but maybe we can talk about that more
yeah.
then. So you're gonna take you taking Green Bay over Tom Brady this week?
Oh, absolutely. The Green Bay offense is kind of
Dude,
unstoppable
they made my
right now.
Rams look silly last week. So, and I've
Yeah,
been a Rams fan forever, so that was
yeah,
unfortunate to watch. But yeah,
mhm,
I think it's gonna be. And if Mahomes plays, I'm obviously gonna take the Chiefs, but
yeah,
could set up for a pretty
mhm,
big Super Bowl there.
yeah, yeah.
So
The concussion protocol thing is, I don't know if it
I
7 days
I
feels
don't see him
like
sitting
a,
out, man. He's got
yeah,
500 million. He's gonna be like,
mhm,
let me play.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no way that he's not walking out on
Yeah,
Arrowhead
exactly. But
Field on
if Chad
Sunday.
Henne plays, I'm gonna
Yeah,
take the Bills.
yeah. And the Bills are kind of a fun story. I mean, I think we all know Kansas City's they're always gonna be in that AFC title game for many years to come, and that's kind of a dynasty that's probably just being born. But Buffalo's kind of a fun story. Their fan base is kind of like Arkansas's in a way. They're
Dude, yeah.
just a bunch of passionate people.
Except they love wrestling too, man.
Yeah, yeah. Bills
That Bills
Mafia and
Mafia is wild. Throwing
jumping on
people through tables.
tables. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Well, hey, I'm gonna leave you with this, okay? Because I appreciate your time and I don't want to take it up too much. We'll
Oh
talk
yeah.
more, of
Oh,
course.
you're
But
good.
I always ask people a question when they leave. This is from one of my friends, but how have sports affected your college experience at the U of A?
Mhm. Yeah, so
Just
pre-COVID
college.
and just college in general. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's sports has been a way to express, people are always looking for, conversation starters and just engaging with people. And everybody here is a Hog fan. You go to the U of A, and
Yeah.
sports has impacted me in the way that it's it. You can have a conversation with anybody walking around about the sports. It can be a stranger, and you can
True.
ask them, "Hey, did you see the game last week?" Not in many cases you could walk up to a stranger and have a completely normal conversation about them. There's something about
Yeah.
having, regardless of if it's a Razorback logo, just a sports logo, having something on your chest to be prideful in. There's going to be somebody out there that they have that same pride too. And it's, I think, in the world we're kind of in today, where everything feels like it's a little bit divided, sports are one thing that really truly bring us all together. And
Man.
it's a shame that we can only have 25% capacity for some of these games, but um, it's still, I think sports is more than anything, it's united a bunch of people, and times like this we kind of need it more than ever. But
I
yeah, I
agree,
think
man.
that's probably the answer that I'd give for that.
Yeah. Dude, I dream of that day when we get all the fans back and then there's that buzzer beater and it's gonna happen and sports
Uh-huh.
Center's gonna go crazy and we're just gonna be like, this is the emotion we fucking
Mm,
missed, you know?
mm-hmm.
Because I've
The my
missed fans
yeah.
so much. It hasn't been the same in any sport, whatever you're watching. It's just been different. And
Mm-mm.
you realize
Yeah.
how much emotion what emotion means in sports now. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man. And yeah,
Yeah.
you probably played sports, you said, right? Football growing up.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
played
you get it.
basketball in high school.
And that's the same.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
get it. I mean,
Mhm,
it just it's a pillar of society,
mhm,
up there with
yeah,
religion and music.
mhm,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, man. Hey, so where can everybody find you at, Ben?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Razorbackology.
Yeah.
It basically, check it out if you want Razorback news, and I cover everything from recruiting to predictions to analysis
Yep.
to disc golf tournaments to podcasts, anything that has to deal with the Razorbacks. I'm usually going after and trying to dissect it. But yeah, and then Spotify, I'm on Razor. It's called Razorbackology Talks.
Okay.
Apple
I'll attach
Podcasts,
it for sure.
everywhere you consume podcasts. And then I do have some stickers and wristbands, and I'm making some hats as well. I'm not making them, but I ordered a few hats. So if anybody's wanting a hat or any merch, I'll feel free to send me a DM, and I'll get back with you, and we can make it happen. But
Cool, man.
yeah, yeah,
Cool. Hey, I appreciate you coming on. We'll talk more Razorbacks. I already know that. I
yeah,
mean, I had Mardrakus Wade on, former shooting guard
yeah,
for the U of
yeah.
A few years ago, and man, just the knowledge that I've learned from people that go to the U of A or have been in that atmosphere is crazy.
Mhm.
But I'll send some people your way too for your show,
Yeah,
and I'll try to
I
come on your
appreciate
show
that.
sometime and chat some more Razorback stuff,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I appreciate having me on. I love what you're doing, and I love how you're finding different people to tap into what they're best at. And I think if you get a bunch of
Absolutely.
those people in a room, it's you could do some special things. So I'm sure you learn probably a little bit from each person, and I, th- I bet that's helping you out a lot in your life. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Always, man. Take it easy and ace that quiz you got online or whatever.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Brother.